What does it really take to deliver on a dream? Well, today we're diving into a powerful story about exactly that, about completely reshaping how we create and share knowledge across the globe. This is the story of NetprosAfrica. It all kicks off right here in beautiful Cape Town. On January 11th, 2024, a bunch of scholars from Africa and Europe got together for what they called a North-South dialogue. And they weren't just there for a chat. Their goal was to imagine a totally new future for management studies in Africa. So, how did such a big, ambitious dream even get started? Let's go right back to that room in Cape Town. Now, this wasn't your typical academic conference. Nope. This was a really powerful collaboration with folks from places like Stellenbosch University and Warwick University. But they knew, right from day one, that the old way of doing things just wasn't going to cut it. The mission had to be way bigger, to build an inclusive, Africa-wide network that was truly for African scholars and, most importantly, by African scholars. So you might be thinking, why was a whole new network even necessary? What was the big problem they were trying to fix? Well, it all boils down to this one really critical idea. Management theory itself had to change. This slide right here just lays it all out perfectly. For decades, the model was all about knowledge transfer. Just think about it. A management theory on, say, employee motivation, cooked up in a New York skyscraper being applied to a small family-run business in rural Kenya. It's a one-way street that completely ignores what's actually happening on the ground. The new model, knowledge co-production, flips that on its head. It's all about learning from each other and creating new ideas together that are actually born from local realities. So, how do you make a huge shift like that happen? Well, one of the key tools is something called practice-based studies. Instead of starting with some big theory from the outside, it starts by asking a simple question. What are people actually doing here? It's all about honoring the, quote, liveliness of local practices. And that gives us a powerful way to decolonize management theory and finally understand what really makes African organizations tick. This quote from Lucy Kiawe in Tanzania just captures the heart and soul of this movement perfectly. It's not about rejecting global knowledge. No way. It's a powerful statement that different places need different approaches. And it's a call to action to finally honor that truth. So, with this really clear dream and a very pressing need, an idea was officially turned into an initiative, NetprosAfrica. Now, to make sure this was genuinely an African-led initiative, the network teamed up with the Africa Academy of Management, or AFAM. This was an absolutely brilliant move. It grounded NetprosAfrica right in the continent's own academic community and set it up for long-term success. And listen, this wasn't just a bunch of nice ideas. They created a super clear 5-step roadmap. It all starts with the basics, strengthening research skills. Then it moves to building new theories and taking a hard look at what's already out there. The next step is all about global collaboration, and it all leads to the most important goal, making sure this work has a real impact on the ground. Okay, so a great plan is one thing, but what about results? Let's take a look at how NetprosAfrica actually turned this strategy into real, concrete action. And the momentum they've built has been just incredible. I mean, just look at this timeline. They weren't just staying in Africa, they took their mission global. From a workshop in Chicago to another in Copenhagen, and then a major presence at the AFAM conference in Casablanca. This wasn't random. It was all part of a very deliberate strategy to build a truly global network. And conversation was absolutely central to their whole strategy. In 2025 alone, they hosted 4 key webinars. The format was genius. They would pair a top international author with African scholars. So this wasn't a lecture. It was a real-time, two-way conversation, and it started to break down those old, stubborn barriers between the global north and south. And their impact? It's crystal clear. They secured major funding, which let them launch a teaching forum to build local skills. But they didn't stop there. They took theory and put it into practice with an amazing research trip to Rabat, Morocco, bringing scholars from 3 different continents together for actual hands-on collaboration. This is what knowledge co-production really looks like in action. So what does this all add up to? It's so much more than just one academic network. What we're looking at here is a blueprint for a completely new way of creating knowledge. I absolutely love this visual metaphor. The old model was kind of like trying to use a single piece of thread to describe a really complex picture. But this new model, it's about weaving together all these different threads, local insights, indigenous knowledge, global theory, to create a much richer, stronger, and more vibrant tapestry of understanding. And really, when it comes down to it, this is about more than just business studies. It's about fairness. It's about democratizing science itself, making sure that the knowledge we create isn't just for a few wealthy countries, but that it actually benefits everyone. That's the real bottom line here. So, that leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. NetprosAfrica has given us this incredible blueprint in the world of management. But if we can successfully co-produce knowledge here, think about it, where else, in science, in technology, in public policy, can this same model create profound and really necessary change?